Hello and welcome to On the Other Hoof, back for maybe a more professional show this week after Michael was present here last week making Dutch master pies, little pieces of paper, which was fun. But we're joined by the whole panel this time. Michael is here, but safely back in his middle of nowhere house. We also have Callum Medell and Adam Webb, who may be in and out with his internet. It's been fairly bad. He just needs to get next door to reset it for him, and then he can continue taking it. But thanks, Adam. But we have a big racing ahead globally, if not in England. But we're going to focus on the English action. You've got the 2000 Guineas, which Kingman looks a warm favourite for. But we're going to start off at Newmarket in a much easier handicap. The Suffolk Stakes, in which Trumpet Major drops back into a handicap again this time. Callum, we'll let you have first bash at this one, the 205 at Newmarket.
Great, cheers, thanks, mate.
All right, over the bus.
Yeah, it's not particularly good handicap. I don't think it's quite wide open. There's a few coming off layoffs as 4-year-olds. Rockquire and Bold Sniper both head the market, and they probably deserve to be considering their connections, and they have potentially got improvement in them. But both of them have got a bit to prove as well, and I haven't really been convinced that they're that good. Big Baz as well. I think he's the one that potentially could be a lot better than his mark because he's only had 3 runs in the all-weather. He's impressed a touch as well, and I think he could improve for grass. One I think that I quite like at a better price is more exposed, but potentially could have a handicap in him, is 2 for 2 for David O'Mara. David O'Mara started the season really well. He's a fantastic trainer. Got an eye-catching jockey booking in Sylvester de Souza. I think that'll do him the world of good. The main reason for backing this horse, I think, he really enjoys fast ground, and I think his best performances have been on faster ground. He's off 99, which is a mark he's been running off in most of his races last season, but he's been running in much better handicaps than this throughout the whole of last season, and there could just potentially be more improvement in him. So I think he's around 14, 16 to 1. That's definitely worth an each-way bet for me. So it's 2 for 2.
Yeah, Michael.
Yeah, I must admit, I'm really looking forward to this race. I think it looks a great race, and I think there'll be plenty to come out of it. But I narrowed it down to kind of 3, but then I think I was going to go with 2. And Callum's actually mentioned my second horse. He has made a winning return on previous occasions, but I'm not quite sure at this level, which is a bit of a worry. He was tipped up for a few good handicaps last season and failed to perform, but I think David O'Mara is in such great form, and at 14 to 1, I can't quite decide between the 2 David O'Mara horses which one is first string and which one is second string, because Daniel Tudhope isn't riding. Jamie Spencer's on Stand My Ground, but the one I've gone for is Rose Arrow, who had a really solid return last time out when he was second to Robert the Painter by half a length. Will strip fitter for that. I can't see an extra furlong being a problem. That was on softer ground, so you'd think that the extra furlong shouldn't be an issue. Also, he racked up about 2 wins, I think, last year, and that was on good to firm ground at Sandown and on good ground, beating Danshai, who won a very competitive handicap later in the season. The yard's going well. Had a look at Ian Balding's statistics. 2 of the last 10 have won, and 6 of the last 10 have been placed. And I think Rose Arrow is about 10 to 1. Has got a really serious chance tomorrow. 2 for 2 is my second horse, and I did consider Stand My Ground, but I'm not sure if he can back up that run. He's not great if you look at his past form of backing up a run. But I think the 2 to go for are Rose Arrow and 2 for 2.
Ian Balding?
Andrew Balding.
That's the one.
Oh dear.
I was going to say, no.
Holding, at least.
Yeah, well, you have stolen my one with Rosero. But Desire Rosero's beat Hollow, who was rumoured to have covered Quevega earlier this week, but apparently there wasn't much truth to that. We don't think, anyway. But yeah, Rosero's £2 above his last winning mark. I'd be disappointed not to see a good run, but I think it's around 8 to 1 in a race like this. I'm siding more with Callum that it's not really a particularly great race. It's wide open for sure, but I'd be siding with Rosero. It was an encouraging comeback last time. The one that you've all got to be wary of is Trumpet Major. If he returns to anywhere near his better form anyway, then he should take a lot of beating in this. But it's a really tight handicap. Don't know what Adam makes of it.
It's a tricky race, and I'm actually interested in one one of the ones nearer the top. I'm much interested in Farage, actually, who has never run a handicap before, and his last 4 runs all been in Group Company, and he ran really well, I thought, in the Derby, the Winter Derby behind Robin Hood's Bay, and I just think it's interesting that he comes here as opposed to, say, a group race later on in the campaign. So he'd be one of note for me. Apart from that, I can agree with Callum on what he said about Big Baz as well. They'd be the 2 that I'd be looking at in this race.
Don't vote UKIP. Thank you, Michael.
Good sign. I agree with that. Yeah.
Who have you been employed by? Are you David Cameron?
No, I'm Nigel Farage's assistant, and I'm just trying to do counterproductive advertising because he thinks it'll work.
Yeah, you're not going to have that job for long.
You're not really great at that. I'm
trying to mess it up for as long as possible. Not that he needs too much help.
Well, fairness. He's trying to be as clueless as possible and still keep his job. But anyway, we move on to more pressing matters now. In the 220 at Goodwood, this is a beautiful name. The Betfred 5 million Scoop 6 today, EBF Stallions Daisy Warwick Stakes. Ran at Goodwood. Oh, God. We were talking a bit before we came on air with Whaler, who looks to be a short price. And I think Adam mentioned Whaler first. So we'll let Adam have a little talk about her.
Well, I mentioned her because I thought she was too good for this field. There's one slight issue in the fact that the ground is good to soft tomorrow at Goodwood. And I looked through her form, and she is much better on quicker ground. And the last time she raced was on really soft ground. She disappointed. Callum made the note that she's wearing a hood, and the way she won at Newmarket in the hood was just, it was unbelievable that day. She should win, but it's a poor race. If Whaler's not winning that, you'd have to be disappointed, even regardless of the ground.
Yeah. One thing to note about Goodwood is it dries really, really quickly. It's built book, so it dries like that. We've seen days at Glorious Goodwood where it's been soft when you wake up in the morning, and then by the time of racing, it's good. So I don't know. As long as there's no more rain overnight, you wouldn't be too concerned about that. Callum, you were quite sweet on Whaler as well, weren't you?
Well, I wouldn't say I was sweet. I just think she's streets ahead of them. But it is the ground is the big question mark, because, like Adam said, she has got herself to prove on softer ground. And again, like you said, it could dry out sufficiently. I mean, it's good to soft at this stage. It could be closer to good by the start of racing, and she should win because, I mean, she's streets ahead. She's got a stone in hand with the whole field. The hood's on. I don't see what beats her, to be honest. I think there's improvements are coming out, and everything else in the field I think wants good ground anyway. So yeah, Whaler should win this, but I wouldn't be touching this race. It's a tough one to really have a bet in.
Yeah, I think this has a definition of watching race for me, but not for one to get stuck into with me. Would you be having a bet in this, Michael?
No, I can't admit I would be either. I looked, and Wall of Sound took my eye, but then when I looked at the Whalers form, because I couldn't remember through last year, had a look. The listed win was really, really impressive, and nothing should get close if she's as good tomorrow. Wall of Sound, I think, without the favourite, could be the one to follow. One pushed hands and heels, didn't really. I think the jockey used the whip about twice when he won it. Was it Ripon or Thirsk last time out? It was Ripon. And up in trip, I can see Wall of Sound probably coming in second. So if you want to do a forecast, it would be Whaler and Wall of Sound for me.
Yeah, I can't really put anything in that's not been said already about Whaler. Like Adam said, she should win this and should win it well. She's way clear on the ratings. The ground, I wouldn't be too concerned about it, to be honest. It should dry out as long as there's no rain overnight, as I said. Then the ground should be bordering good, maybe even a bit quick on the quick side of good. But we move on to the sprint at Newmarket, the Pearl Bloodstock Palace House Stakes, the Group 3, and this looks to be an interesting race. Pearl Sequel looks to be somewhat back near his best, and then we've also got Soul Power, who we know everything about. Michael, you can have first crack at this one.
I was like, oh, this looks interesting. I do enjoy these kind of sprints. I think they're a real spectacle to watch. And I must admit, I looked at it, and then I thought, I just can't see anything beating Soul Power. I can see the Pearl Secret angle. But Moviesta's form, that Goodwood race, has nothing really of the sprinting division was actually behind him that day. Justinio, I think, was one of them. But Swiss Spirit didn't actually do that much last year after promise on first kind of runs. Ladies of Forever won last time out. Just looking back, Medisha Man, I suppose, was behind if you count the form in Maiden, but there's nothing solid in comparison to Soul Power's form last year, and I think Soul Power should win this. Pearl Secret's interesting. I can see the angle, like I said, but it's got to be between those two, and I'll be sticking with Soul Power.
Yeah, you had to get Medisha Man in there somewhere.
Yeah, of course.
Did you call it Moviesta as well?
Who?
Did you call it Moviesta as well?
Yeah, I call it Moviesta. I know it's movie star.
Definitely movie star.
It just sounds better.
Not movie star.
Yeah, I agree, but it's definitely movie star.
Yeah. Moviesta makes little to no sense. Callum, are you of Moviesta as well?
Yeah, Moviesta. Yeah, he's just disappointing in his last start in the Num. Thought maybe he had a few runs that season, not too many runs, but he's very consistent before that, and he won at Goodwood quite nicely, and there's potentially more improvement in him as a 4-year-old, because it is tough for the 3-year-old colts to be winning sprint races, and he did pretty well to win a decent race at Goodwood. You got to go with a proven form for me. Soul Power won it last year, coming off 2 pretty decent runs in Maidan, as a 4-2 Shay in the Maidan sprint, and then in the Alquos on World Cup night. He's only beaten 2.5 lengths by Amber Sky, finishing 7th, but they all finished in a bit of a heap at the end. And that he was beaten 2 lengths last year in both races, so he comes into it in similar form. He's got his fast ground. If it's genuinely fast ground out there, then I don't see what beats him, because his 2 main form rivals, both the Qatari pair, want cutting the ground for me, especially Pearl Secret, who it's no secret that they need softer ground. I know he ran really well at Ascot in the King's Stand when it was good ground, but he needs softer ground at this level, I think, to be winning. So that's a negative for him. And as well, Hot Streak, I think, potentially could be a really good sprinter this year, even though it's hard for the 3-year-olds, like I said. But he just looks an absolute soft ground beast to me. I just don't think he wants fast ground, and I think he really needs softer ground. So Movie Star, I think, has to come into it if he can improve on that run. But I've got to go for the proven form, and Soul Power for me, I think, is a pretty fair bet at 4-1, considering he's a Group 1 winner, a multiple Group 1 winner, and one of my favourite horses ever. So yeah.
Hey, you're not too far away on that. I agree with you on Pearl Secret that will want softer ground. He hits the ground very, very hard, so you may find things happening a bit too quickly tomorrow. Adam,
Yeah.
You napped Movie Star before.
I did. It was my first nap.
How did he get on?
He came last.
There you go. Like
First of the
Adam's naps.
He did, however, that day he did have his excuses, because he played up at the start and he's never done that before. He didn't want to go into the stalls, and he was not right that day. And I put a line straight through it, and I think he'll improve from 3 to 4. However, I'm going to have to agree with Callum and go with Soul Power, because he is the genuine Group 1 sprinter in this race. Pearl Secret, there's no secret with him that he's had his injury problems as well, because he ran a really good race in the King's Stand. And I thought, the sky's the limit, he's going to win a Group 1 somewhere this season, and alas, he was injured. So, I'd be worried about him. I wouldn't actually be surprised if he's a non-runner tomorrow, because I think if it is genuine good ground, they're not going to want to risk him, are they?
Yeah.
And yeah, he came out and won easily at Nottingham, but a Hot Streak also wants off the ground. So, it'd be Soul Power to win, and I think Ruby Star will chase him home.
Yeah, I was actually going to make the same point as you about Pearl Secret. It wouldn't surprise you if he was withdrawn in the morning at the ground. I wouldn't surprise me if they don't want to risk him on this kind of ground so quickly after an injury. But looking through the field, there's a lot that you can't fancy, but Soul Power is the genuine Group 1 horse, as Adam said. Last 2 runs maybe in Maidan didn't perform up to what we're used to him performing at, but there were still decent runs in top class races, better than this for sure. He won this last year. You can't really say too much bad against him. Johnny Murta obviously isn't riding anymore, so Ryan Moore takes a ride. There's no bad thing at all. There's very little things that you can do to chink his armour, but it's more a case I couldn't really find what would beat him tomorrow. The fast ground is definitely in his favour. He loves Newmarket, we know that, and he's just all class. and the fact that we get to back him at 130 is not bad, to be honest. But the only thing that would give Pearl Secret a chance in my mind is if there was softer ground. But like we say, it wouldn't surprise you if he's a non-runner completely. But we digress and move to a place that at the moment does have softer ground, and that's Goodwood. The final visit to Goodwood today. And a little trappy event here, as Callum would call it, I'd say. And we're going to come to Callum first on this one. And Callum, me and you fancied Jack's Revenge fairly strongly in the Lincoln and gave him a decent shout. Can we do it again?
Yeah, well, do you know what the word I was going to use for this is trappy, because it is. It's not a bad race, to be honest. There's a lot of horses that have a strong course and distance form and like Goodwood. I mean, Magic City's a multiple winner here, and has shown potentially that he can come back to form. I think he ran quite well at Newbury last time out. I just think with him, I think he needs Richard Hughes, if I'm honest. I mean, he's only won once without Richard Hughes on, and I think he makes such a difference to the horse. George Guru won the race last year. Again, another strong horse over course and distance. Jack's Revenge, he gets 7 furlongs on softish ground. I think is his ideal condition, so I think he can run quite well. Absolutely so. Been running really well on the all-weather. I think he's got potentially some more handicaps in him. So, and the Confessor as well, if he can front run, lights Goodwood as well, as a multiple winner at Goodwood. So, yeah, there's some really interesting horses in this, but I think absolutely so with Ocean Murphy taking off £3 for free basically. So he's running off 89 really. Yeah, I think absolutely so. He's got a lot more potential than the rest of them. So I will give a tentative selection to him, but. It's a good little race. It's just a watching race again. I think I can't really say absolutely so a win, but I'll go for him.
Yeah, he's been in that before, hasn't he?
Yeah, and he lost.
I
See that too. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 7, 2. Guess which one I napped him on this 7.
I think that was the day me and Adam actually had winning naps.
Yeah.
It made you look even worse.
Oh.
Yeah.
If I ever win in nap, it makes you all look bad. So.
Yeah, exactly. It's horrible when that happens. Hate it. Just kidding.
To be fair, I've got better. To be fair, it has got a lot better this year.
It couldn't get much worse, to be fair, could it?
Yeah, it couldn't. I mean, it was like 1 from like 30, so on the cold list, and then come back on the warm list. So yeah.
But I mentioned Jack's Revenge. Would you say it's fair to say, Callum, that he's got a bit of a mind of his own?
I just think he needs everything to fall right for him. I mean, he's a hold-up performer. He probably doesn't find as much off the bridle as you'd like, so he's just a tough ride.
The thing that I pictured happening today was maybe he stays a bit better than everything else in the field, that it might fall into his lap. Hopefully, anyway.
I just don't think it's going to be enough pace for him, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
But I remember when he ran at Glorious Goodwood and he chased home Ascription off what Ascription was like, ridiculously well handicapped. You know, off that sort of run, I mean, he's got to be thereabouts, but he needs everything to fall his way, and I think he needs the hustle and bustle of a big field, maybe.
I'm going to throw something else at you now.
Go for it.
Field. He finished 7th, 6 obviously ahead of him. Ocean Tempest is now a listed winner. Tullius is now a listed winner. Robert the Painter won next time out. Sweet Lightning was 5th in a big handicap. Off Art runs today, and I think will win as well, subsequently. Gabriel's Cacao won next time out and also finished 2nd in another big handicap. The form of that race is looking very strong.
Good point.
Jack's Revenge, I thought he was coming through to win the Lincoln at one point. And didn't really find much. I can see why they've dropped him a furlong in trip, because it looked like he didn't stay at that day, but we know he does. So it could just be a case of him wanting the race. So it'd be fascinating for me to find out how Jack's Revenge gets on. I do fancy him a little bit tomorrow. It may just be a little case of last chance saloon with him for me anyway. As well, hopefully he doesn't throw it in. But Michael, this is your kind of race, isn't it?
Yeah, I was struggling because there's actually some really nice horses in this race, and there was no clear chance. But I have to admit, I'm going to have to side with Magic City, who is 3 out of 3 of them on the course over the course and distance. I've had a look. The Confessor is 1 out of 7 over the course. I'm not sure if it's course and distance. I think it's just the course actually. And George Guru is 1 from 3. So I think Magic City for Sir Alex Ferguson absolutely loves this track. I can understand the Richard Hughes angle, but he had his pipe opener last time out behind Gabriel's Cacao. In fact, finished respectively. drops down to back to what he won at 3 times last year, twice or 3 times. I'm not sure.
He racked up a hat trick, definitely.
Yeah, I know, but the other one was at Newbury.
Mm.
I know the other one was at Epsom. Sorry, not Newbury. But he absolutely loves this. He's beaten some decent horses. I had a look at George Guru's form, and when he won this last time out, the only horse that is of real interest really is the Confessor. The others behind don't seem to be this class. This is a better race than it was last year. I was with Newstead Abbey last week, ran respectively. Could ran just as well this time, but I'm going to stick with Magic City. Absolutely So is the one that has the most improvement. The others are handicappers though. So you've got to worry. I think it's Magic City for me, but Absolutely So is the biggest worry.
Yeah. Adam, last one.
I love how this is like one of the weakest races of the day.
Yeah, no, good. Yeah. I do always agree with Adam, to be fair.
Yeah, we sat and dissected it completely. When we get to the Guineas, Jesus, I'm not gonna do a St Ledger again, but yeah. Oh, what's it going for? Absolutely So. I think there's plenty of improvement there. I'm going to agree with Callum on that. Mark of 89, you've got Oisin Murphy on board. On your boots.
Stop copying my tips, please.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Adam's £5 penalty.
The 2-stone penalty, you gave it with Warren and he won, so...
Yeah, nailed it.
I don't know if he won tonight, but...
He didn't.
Check that, actually.
No, he didn't.
Oh, on the fringe.
Yeah, that one.
Oh.
But
oh well.
Back to HQ now with Newmarket, and a horse that I've been looking forward to seeing this season is Trading Leather. He's a very short price favourite for the Jockey Club Stakes. It's a nice little race as well, and lots of old favourites with Times Up, Joshua Tree running. I'm assuming Michael is going to pour his heart out over at least one or two of these.
Joshua Tree is a non-runner.
Huh? Joshua
Tree is a non-runner. Yeah.
Yeah, Joshua.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Oh, God,
no. I must admit, I wasn't interested. I must admit, I wasn't interested in this race. Joshua Tree, yeah, I would have been interested, but didn't run that well behind. Well, ran respectably, but just stayed on behind Sirius and Trev last weekend. Of the others, I think Brass Ring could be very interesting for the future, but I can understand Trading Leather being favourite. The only worry is that it doesn't seem to win a lot, but has been very, very consistent. But no, I'm not really that connected with any of the runners in this race, I have to admit. Joshua Tree, I've met him, so yeah, he probably would have been my sentimental selection, but I think Trading Leather should win, and this is not a Michael kind of race.
No, no. I'd love to back Trading Leather, but at 11 to 10, I find it very hard to. I was just looking forward to seeing him as a 4-year-old. I think he's going to make a brilliant stayer in time. But it was a 3-year-old running against the likes of Al Kazim over and over again in Declaration of War, which obviously is fantastic form. But I just like to see how he shapes into a 4-year-old. I wouldn't be backing him tomorrow. I think he will win. But at 11 to 10, that's not really a price I'd like to find out how he is transformed into a 4-year-old. But I'd be very disappointed if he was out of the mix. Callum, one that me and you have agreed on for the season is Peddler's Moon. Do you think maybe he's a bit out of his depth here?
I think he's worth a chance. When I got my trackers through, I had 3 in this, so I thought, oh, fantastic. But yeah, it's Trading Leathers to lose, I think. I mean, he's got by far the best form of anything in the field. Well, the closest coming to him is the other Cadovan horse playing Live Pavilion, but he will definitely need the run according to connections. Trading Leather, some really, really strong 3-year-old, Derby form, Derby winner, Irish Derby, second to Noveliste in what he made a very, very strong pace in that race as well, over 12 furlongs. So I think this is going to be his trip over this season, and if he's ready, then he should be winning this. He's also a winner at Newmarket before he won as a 2-year-old. He won the Autumn Stakes, beating Monteridge as a 2-year-old. So Gospel Choir, again, he ran a really eye-catching race last time out in, I can't remember what race it was, the Elder Sefton behind Muller Killock, and he clearly wants 12 furlongs. That was a much shorter trip. He was over 9 furlongs that day, but he's a very short price considering he needs to improve considerably for me. Same with Brass Ring as well, I think. very impressive winner of his last start at Lingfield. That was his first run for over a year. He beat Viewpoint, who went to win since on All Weather Champions Day, and so I mean that's pretty good form. He's worth his chance in this, but why they're not running in a handicap of 98, I do not know. So I think it's a bit of a mischance, if I'm honest, because I think he might be out of his depth tomorrow. And I think at 12-1, I think Pethers Moon's worth a chance, to be honest. If he drifted any further, I'd definitely be backing him because, again, I've been really convinced that this horse will be totally different this year as a 4-year-old. He's got a lot to find on figures. He's £14 worse off than Trading Leather, but I think if Trading Leather wins, I think he's well up for finishing second at least. So Richard Hughes is on as well, and I think he'd be ready for it because he was meant to run three weeks ago. So, but he pulled out due to ground, I think. So, Pethers Moon, I think is worth it each way.
He was very promising as a 3-year-old, wasn't he? He wasn't overly highly tried.
No.
But Richard Hughes and Richard Hannum or Richard Hannum Senior at the time, were always shouting from the rooftops what they thought of him, and they didn't like the fact that they thought he was a very, very good horse. But
he just has that look of a horse that will improve as a 4-year-old. And looking back at this race, it has gone to horses that have got decent handicap form as a 3-year-old and then have gone on considerably. I mean, Al Kazim just comes straight to mind. I mean, he has very similar form to Pethers Moon, and he hacked up in this. And last year, Universal was similar. So I just got the suspicion he could just improve out of sight tomorrow, and 12-1 I think is worth chancing that it might happen. Yeah.
Adam, do you agree with that front?
Yeah, I do actually. Trading Leather. Interesting thing about him tomorrow is that he actually runs in this and doesn't have a Group 1 penalty, which I thought was really interesting because in some races like this they'll get a Group 1 penalty, but he's not got it. So that's an interesting point, and I don't think they'd be coming over here if he wasn't ready. It's not like they're going to come for the day out and see where he goes. I mean, as Callum has rightly said, 12 furlongs will be his trip this season. I can't wait to see him tomorrow. So, Trading Leather's the winner. Second place, I'm not sure, because I do like Penglide Pavilion. And I think I stuck him up for the Arc each way at a really big price on my blog. So, unless it was no, it wasn't. It was Sky Hunter I put up each way in the blog, but I did like Penglide Pavilion. I think it was he was 50 yards to Trev, and I think there's improvement in him as well. But as Callum said again, the connections probably said he needs the run. So I think if you're Trading Leather, I wouldn't be surprised if Pethers Moon followed him home.
Yeah, I couldn't disagree with that anyway. Not couldn't agree. That's very rude. Well, we now move on to the big race of the day in the 2000 Guineas. We were talking before, and we could give everything a chance, basically. So I was looking through it earlier, and sort of the horses like Urtijal, maybe an each way chance. Night of Thunder, me and Callum dubbed as not a 50-1 shot. The same goes with the Grey Gatsby. This just looks like one of the best Guineas that we've had in years, and maybe this time next year we might be sitting here thinking, okay, maybe it wasn't the best Guineas, but on paper, at this current moment in time, it looks fantastic. Kingman is probably a deserved favourite after he won the Greenham in such emphatic style. Then we've got the likes of Australia, who's been dubbed the best horse he's ever trained by Aidan O'Brien, for this year anyway. Then we've got Tormore, War Command, Outstrip, who's a Breeders' Cup winner. It just looks like a fantastic race. So it wouldn't surprise you if a lot of these had won. Michael, go on, you can have first crack. Yeah, I'll give you the treat.
Okay, I must admit, I don't really know. I really want Kingdom to win. I just want something to just absolutely blitz them and make a really impressive performance, and then remain unbeaten, because that's the story you want, really. Of other stories, obviously Tourmore for the small syndicate. Well, not small really. They are a big syndicate now. For Midland Park Racing, but monetary-wise, I haven't had any anti-post bets apart from Tourmore, which I had ages ago now, a couple of months maybe. But I still don't know. I would like Kingman to win. I think he was really impressive in the Greenham, and if he can win, that would be a great story. I don't like the form of Nuzo Canarius, I must admit. I thought I would like foreign horse, but I just don't think he's going to get 8 furlongs. 8 furlongs at Newmarket, because he got attacked on the at Longchamp and just couldn't hold off the challenge of Cara Conti, I think it was. So it's difficult. I don't know about Australia. The form there isn't. Australia could be great, but the form there is not there for me. Free Eagle was not even pushed out that day, and I don't think there was anything of interest in behind. A Night of Thunder, you said, Luke, that he looked awful. He was finishing a very respectable second to Kingman last time out. So I think 33-1 is rather generous. I don't know. It's very difficult. I'll be going with Tormore monetary-wise, but I would really like Kingman to win. I was very impressed when he won with the Greenham, and Night of Thunder each way is very generous. So those would be the three. But it's a very, very competitive Guineas, and I can't wait to watch it.
Yeah. This is. I don't often get too excited over early season flat races, but this looks absolutely awesome. The point that I did make about probably Kingman's form more than anything. Okay, it was very, very impressive in the green, but Night of Thunder, you may remember, was my nap of the day, and I was really keen on him in the green. I got to the parade ring, looked at him, and thought, "Oh my God, that looks horrendous." He just did not look great at all. If I didn't know any better, he looked lame, but that could be treading on troublesome waters there. But he just didn't look like he was ready to go for a race like the Greenham. And the fact that he still managed to finish second is a huge performance. Then Master Carpenter stayed on to third at 80-1. He hasn't really franked the form next time out. He ran okay, but he didn't really run as if you'd want him to really push that form on. People were crabbing Tormore's last run in the Craven. And I have to admit, when I was there on first sight, I thought, oh, okay, right, that wasn't really that impressive. Watched it again, and I was actually quite taken by it. I know Callum felt the same way about that. He made it all. I don't think he necessarily wants to either. I mean, when he won the national stakes at the Curragh, he made it all and was very impressive that day. I don't think he really wants to be in front at Newmarket. He's not going to have to be tomorrow because Nuzo Canaris looks the pace angle. And then you've got other runners that should be up there. I'd be surprised if Australia wasn't up there. I couldn't have him on my mind at 3-1. I think that isn't a ridiculous bet for a horse we haven't even seen a 3-year-old. I'd rather take a stable companion, War Command, who I think in the gallops a while ago moved much better than Australia did. But for me, I'd be taking Tormore, and I'd be surprised if Outstrip doesn't run his race. I think for a Breeders' Cup winner, he's got his ground, and they're drawn next to each other. And one last point about Tormore is that I don't think his start shouldn't be affected because Outstrip is usually fairly slow away and restrained, whereas Tormore will probably go forward and sit maybe third or around there. But 7-1, 8-1, I think even 9-1 with Ladbrokes tonight, I think that's a mental price, and it's a really, really good each way shout, I believe anyway. But I could sit here talking all night about this race. It really is a race I'm genuinely really looking forward to. I just can't wait to watch this. But one person that's probably going to be more excited about it than me is our resident flat expert, Callum Medell. So, Callum, go on. I'm sorry.
Yeah, if you can talk about it forever, just imagine what I can do. I mean, I'll try and keep it short and sweet. It is just a brilliant race. Kingman, I think, totally deserves to be favourite because his Greenham win was mightily impressive. There's been a few people crabbing the form a touch, and I know you said that Night of Thunder didn't look right. But Night of Thunder himself, I mean, he's a 50-1 shot in this race. He doesn't deserve to be a 50-1 shot because he's a class performer. And
out of interest, did you price this up, Callum?
Why?
Well, you usually price
you
races.
do, yeah.
No, I haven't yet, but I might give it a go tonight. Actually,
I was gonna price you put Night of Thunder.
Yeah, yeah. I'll probably have him about 20-1. I'd say 16, 20-1.
Yeah, I'd say 16.
Just thinking first, but Australia is the one out of the first four in the market that I can't have. I just think he needs further. Faster ground now, potentially pretty good ground. I think we'll find him out tomorrow, and I just wasn't really that impressed by his Leopardstown win, if I'm honest. It just looked the horse that really wants a Derby trip. So I think he can run well tomorrow and then potentially go on to the Derby, and that'd be more his race. War Command gets his fast ground. I think he's the much bigger chance tomorrow of the O'Brien too. Tormore, I agree with you, Luke. I think it's a big price. 9-1 for the best horse in the race on official ratings. Unbeaten still in 4 starts. Pretty strong form as well. And again, I was more impressed by his Craven win after watching it again, just because the time was really good. he did all the donkey work out in front and then kicked on, and the Great Gatsby again. You know, in a modest Guineas, he'd have an each way squeak, but I mean, he's no 80 to 1 shot here. You know, he's 110, 112 horse easily, and Tormore beat him quite comfortably. So I think he sets the standard, and I think he deserves to be shorter. Kingston Hill, again, he's a unbeaten horse. I just don't know if he's got the pace for a Guineas on fast ground. I think on softer ground he'd come into it. Nuzur Canarias is a fascinating runner as well. He just looks all speed to me. I think he will improve over a sprint trips. And you know, the second to Caraconti's pretty good form, and it deserves a chance in the Guineas. But an extra furlong, I think, will find him out. Outstrip as well, 25 to 1 shot for who's a Breeders' Cup winner. It's just mad. The French runners, Book Runner, I think is the best of the lot long term, but I think again he wants a trip. Tijal's done pretty well in the all-weather last 2 starts, won 2 pretty good pots as well, so he's worth his chance in the race. And Shifting Power, Richard Hannon's been going on about Shifting Power as a really good horse, so it's a brilliant race. I back Kingman anti-post. I wouldn't back him again at 15 to 8 if I'm honest, because the only premise that I had against him was the ground, and it is drying out and it's pretty fast. So that is my only worry, that he might not handle the ground as well as others. Tormore definitely. I'll definitely back tomorrow. Now that War Command is price wise.
Yeah, War Command shortening significantly. 6 to 1 I can see. It wouldn't surprise me if he's shorter than that. But I can completely understand why Tom Segar's put War Command up.
Yeah.
But one point with Tormore, you mentioned that he well, on the eye, aesthetically, he didn't look a brilliant winner of the Craven, but on the clock, it completely disagreed. It was a really good time, and there's something, a stat of his time was fast enough to win 132 of the last 135 Guineas, which I found very interesting. And I may be completely wrong in this, but his time was faster than Frankel's in his Guineas, which is interesting. Well, it could be clutching a straw.
Yeah, I don't take that too seriously, because Frankel wasn't running a very efficient race, was he? I mean, he was going out like a sprinter, and he was finishing quite tired, but it was still an incredible performance. Yeah. But Tormore
that was my next line, that Frankel did make not just all of his own running. He was 15 lengths clear, all of his own.
Halfway.
Yeah,
just remember Ian Bartlett's commentary. He's 15 lengths clear. It's like, you couldn't believe it when you were watching it, and you're probably there going at halfway with Frankel. You were going, he's got to stop, and he didn't. It was just an amazing performance.
And he still remains the only horse I've ever seen to sprint a mile. It was quite incredible, to be honest.
If Newmarket the Canaries can do that tomorrow, then
fair
play to him if he does.
Yeah. Spanish rogue. Just before we move on to Adam's point, I've been denying him from. If you've got any questions about or fancies for the racing tomorrow, please send them in. We'd love to hear your views, and we'd love to read out your fancies. And I've already been called deluded by one viewer, so we'll be getting to that one a bit later. But I see that he's also tipped up Regal Encore tomorrow. So who is deluded now? Cheltenham Zone. Adam. My apologies for keeping you waiting so long, but you may now have a crack at the 2,000 Guineas.
Right. Well, I agree with Cheltenham's on Kingman, but I don't agree with him on the Regal Encore. Sorry there. Kingman is the worthy favourite. When he won the Greenham, I was sat on the setting and I was like, whoa, that was a good performance. The fact that I'm not worried that he will get a mile, because James Doyle took an age to pull him up. He was that fresh and keen. The manner of that performance was just so impressive, because half of them just threw their heads round like inexperienced 2-year-olds, and yet he just settled and went into the race. It was so easy. The only worry I have got is the faster ground. I agree with Callum in Australia. I can't have him at all in this. I mean, he's bred for 12 furlongs. If he wins that tomorrow, he's a serious racehorse. I respect Tormore a lot. War Command, he is a danger. I mean, if it's genuine good to firm ground, you've got to have him in the shortlist. Just look down. I think Kingston Hill wants a trip. Nuzu Canarias is probably a sprinter, and it would be a very good sprinter. But if he gets a mile, who knows? The one that I like at a big price is the Breeders' Cup winner Outstrip. I mean, if you've got Tormore at 9 to 1, and he only beat Outstrip by, what was it? I know it was a cheeky half length at Goodwood with a Richard Hughes masterclass. But if you're going to take that, and you've got Outstrip at 25s and Tormore at 9s. I know which one I'd rather be on, actually. I'd rather have Outstrip, and his Breeders' Cup winner, I can recall Luke telling me his reactions to that victory, because I know that Outstrip holds a special place in your heart.
I dubbed him a superstar to all our American friends watching the show.
Yeah, you did. And the poor person's eardrum that was sat next to you. Poor Catherine. But he is one as well. But then Callum has also said that the Grey Gatsby and Night of Thunder are probably overpriced as well. In an average Guineas, I mean, we were saying before off air, if they were running in Camelot's Guineas, you would give them a right chance. But this Guineas on paper is just one of the best in recent years. And I am gonna side with Kingman, and for an each way alternative, I am gonna put up Outstrip. I think he's way overpriced.
What I'm going to do now, I'm going to throw on you guys, is the 1, 2, 3 for the race.
Ooh, you did this in the Grand National, it went wrong.
I'm gonna go with Tormore, War Command, Kingman.
I'm gonna go with Kingman, Outstrip, War Command.
Yeah, I'd have a similar to yours, Luke. I'd go, but with different order. I'd go Kingman, Tormore, and War Command.
Yeah, Michael.
Kingman, Tormore, and Night of Thunder.
Yeah, Night of Thunder was my 4th.
Yeah, same.
Here's an interesting one. What comes last? Oh, Master of the World.
Master of the World.
Australia. No.
I like Master of the World as well. I think he's a nice horse, but they're just totally ruining him by running him in stupid races.
200. Watch him finish second at 250 to 1.
Well, Gloria Waits was second in his 100.
Yeah, he was. If we had done these videos a year ago,
I don't know if there was a chance. When we look at last year, there wasn't as much depth, though, was there? We had Van der Neer.
We had a 2-horse race effectively.
Yeah, and Toronado choked for the whole last furlong. So I mean, it was a great performance by Dawn Approach. Actually, talking of Dawn Approach, I forgot about that. There's the Forge from Ascot last year with his name on. Where is it? There it is. Yeah, get to plug that. Yeah. Oh, I love Dawn Approach. It's a shame it's not that this year, but he was a good Guineas winner. Oh well.
We will get to questions and fancies in a second. But before we do that, we'll give you one last chance to send them in. Tweet them at LukeElder13 and send more abuse to me, because I love it. Thanks. Michael, can we call on your Naughty Luck at 15 early?
Yeah, we can. It's not that great this week. I must admit, I was a bit disappointed. That's a poor effort, owners. Okay, you need to get out there and start making some better names. 4:05 at Goodwood, Be My Gal. 7 o'clock at Hexham, A New Rising. The 5:45 at Donny, Man of Plenty, and the 8:15 at Donny, 2 Shades of Grey.
You had to get a Shades of Grey in there, didn't you?
Obviously.
We'll do naps as well. I've remembered naps for once.
Well done.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
We'll do naps then, questions and abuse. Michael, nap.
I'm waiting for Adam to nap it up in the most difficult handicap of the Guineas, because that's what he always chooses, the most difficult.
No.
So let's see what he goes for this week. I really like Man with Van at the 8 o'clock up north at Hexham. I think he's running at. He was second behind a well handicapped JP McManus horse, and I think he's a very big horse, and he'll take to chasing on his chasing debut. I think he'll absolutely hack up there. So yeah, we'll go Man with Van. I hope he's not too short a price. If he is, we'll what was my second one? I can't remember what I put as my second one. We'll go with Magic City at a bigger price, but I think Man with Van is very much a cert tomorrow.
Fair enough. Tipping at Hexham. That's a new low for our show, I think.
It is.
I think I've done Kilbeggan before, so I think Hexham just.
Yeah, all right, we'll give you it then. Callum, you're not for tomorrow.
Tough one. I'm gonna go for Cloudscape in the 5 o'clock at Newmarket in the Newmarket Stakes. Just because I haven't mentioned the race and I think he's worthy of a mention. I was just really impressed by his handicap win last time out at the Craven meeting. The second's gone on and won since impressively, albeit in awful ground at Sandown. And as soon as the race finished, I put up the first 4 in my tracker. So I just think he's a really, really nice horse for John Gosden. There's some other really good horse in it, including Postponed, who's a nice prospect. But Cloudscape, I think 15 to 8 is pretty fair, I think he's a very, very nice prospect, so he's a nap.
Yeah. Adam, your nap/lay of the day?
Shut up. I'm going over to Ireland for mine. I'm going to Punchestown in the first race. And I'm going to go for a horse that's already won this week at the Punchestown Festival, a horse called Be Positive. And I'm interested because on the Racing Post, it hasn't put that win in. So if you're looking at that form and it says 769th and you're wondering why I'm napping it, he actually did win on Tuesday in really good style over course and distance.
ATR's gone out.
I'm on the Racing Post. He gets weight from Keep On Track, who ran a really good race the other day in the Latouche, but I don't think he'll have recovered from that. He gets weight as well. He's had enough of a break because Ender likes to run horses twice a week. I think he's a very good horse. I mean, he won really comfortably. Say no more. He's going to win.
That race, what might be?
First, which would probably be like a stuffed hurdle or something. So.
Yeah, fair enough. I'm gonna stick fairly local. I'm gonna go to Newmarket for my nap. 4:25. I'm going for Stars Above Me for Roger Charlton. I was disappointed she didn't run at Sandown the other week when the ground was torrential. It was horrible that day. Me and Michael know because we were there, getting absolutely soaked. But she ran in a really hot maiden at Glorious Goodwood last year when chasing home Valonia. Coral Mist was back in second, then went to Leicester and broke a maiden tag in a pretty nice race as well. I think it was Invincible Strike was in second, who has since run well, albeit at Wolverhampton I think it was. But there was no pace in the race whatsoever, and she was really keen throughout the whole way. And I think faster pace will help her settle. She's off 88 tomorrow. I think she's much better than that. And I'd be disappointed if she lost. But a big danger is Meritocracy, who's now had a run under his belt and is absolutely ginormous as well for a sprinter. But Stars Above Me, I really fancy tomorrow and think should win about 3-1. Now, on to your questions/abuse fancies for tomorrow. We've got one in from Kai Wills asking what do we make of the chances of Tiger Roll for tomorrow in the 4-year-old hurdle at Punchestown? Let's have a look at it. Obviously, Tiger Roll was the Triumph Hurdle winner. That race kind of fell apart a bit with Abyssal taking out Adriana Daymont. Well, I think Adriana Daymont is a very nice horse and definitely the one I'd put in our jumps preview for the next year, and probably the one I take for the race tomorrow. But at 5-2, is Tiger Roll a play, guys?
I think he is. I mean, I love Guitar Pete, don't get me wrong, but he's had enough races this season. Kentucky Hyden wants further. If I had to suggest another play, I'd put in Abyssal each way. And Abyssal is going to be one I'm going to be putting in the jumps preview in May. Because as Patrick Mullis described him as the Jackadam type, and we all know how much Luke loves Jackadam. So,
Beast.
Yeah. I think Tiger All wins tomorrow. I'd be disappointed if he didn't win.
Yeah, Tiger All's a beast. I like him.
He's a big old thing, isn't he?
Yeah. Should be on the flat, definitely.
Well, he was on the flat for Nigel Hall. He was bought by from Nigel Hall by Gordon Elliott or Gigginstown.
No, he needs good ground, but if he gets it, he is a very good hurdler.
Yeah.
Sunil Kumar agrees with all of us about Night of Thunder, a very big price. He's gone for Gospel Choir and Pinzola with Barcelona tomorrow. You can't go wrong backing Barcelona at Newmarket. Cheltenham Zone. Now, Cheltenham Zone. Please tell Luke out of it. He's clearly deluded and Kingman win to Guineas. This is all.
Okay then, okay, Luke, you're deluded.
He fancies Regal Encore.
But yeah, then again, I can say you're deluded for fancying Regal Encore in a 25 and a handicap. Ugh. Yeah. He couldn't win the Imperial Cup, and it's a stronger race tomorrow. I can't. If he wins tomorrow, fair enough, but I can't have Regal Encore in that handicap.
No, same.
I couldn't, but then again, I can't have Tom Put 2 either with the Pipe form. Pipe's had a shocker this week over there. I mean, the Liquidator ran a poor race. Seven Nation Army didn't run a good race. I don't think Western Diva ran that well actually as well. So yeah, Pipe's not had a good week over there. So I'd be worried about Untompa too.
Yeah. The best name of anyone that's ever watched our show ever. Humberto Corona is a short second.
I like that.
We've got Xavier Niveles Pos.
Okay.
I really hope I said that name right. He said that Tormore is a massive price tomorrow. I think that seems to be the general consensus here, that 9-1 is ridiculous. Tom Wobbier, hi Wobbier, gone for Message for the team, I quite fancy shifting power each way. Unbeaten so far, Mile will force improvement, big price for a huge horse. I was a bit sceptical. I'm a bit surprised he actually came here, to be honest. He was off the bridle the whole, well, from about 4 furlongs out last time. He won nice enough, but I don't know. I'm not convinced by shifting power. I think it's one of the ones we didn't actually mention.
He's a nice horse.
Yeah,
And
I just think this,
definitely, he's one for in time. Give him a few months, and I think
he'll have his day. It's not tomorrow.
definitely. I agree with them sentiments. Yeah.
Paul Louis has gone for, if the ground is still good to firm, surely Outstrip must have a massive chance.
Yes.
Remember what he did at the Breeders' Cup on the ground, and I think we all actually gave Outstrip a big thumbs up, didn't we?
Yeah.
I did.
Moving on from that one very quickly, Kieran at Monkey Tips. Hi, Monkey Tips. We look forward to you deleting your account tomorrow, by the way. He's just going to bring it up. Kieran.
Did anybody
He's
screenshot
probably
that?
sat there going, "Why did you have to mention that?"
We did. We adore you, really, Kieran. Yeah, love it. Will Kingman handled a dip, awkward on debut. Gosden never sent Zender to Newmarket. I don't really see too much of a problem with Kingman on the Rolling Mile. He won on the July course, obviously. This is a completely different kettle of fish, the Rolling Mile. I don't really see there'd be much of a problem with it, to be honest. He handled hills at Sandown fairly well.
Yeah.
July course. I think he's just very versatile. I think he's all class.
I mean, you can...
Would any of you have a problem with him running in the Rolling Mile?
No. The only issue you could have with Kingman is his action. I mean, he's got a strange action. I mean, he's a very good horse, but his action can be questionable. And I mean, he has had his problems, but that could be the one slight concern you could have about him on the Rolling Mile. But I don't have one.
It's just the ground for me. I just think if it's lightning quick, that's the only negative I've got against him. But James Willoughby made a really good point. He thought that the horse was injured during the Solario because the way he didn't finish the race very well.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
He just looked a bit uncomfortable, and I agree with that.
That surprised me. I remember after the Solario feeling a little bit deflated because he came with all this massive hype, and you thought, he's going to be an absolute machine in this against weaker rivals, and then I don't know. He didn't really sparkle as much as he did in the Green today.
Yeah. But he still beat a 106 rated rival basically on the bridle. Yeah. And his other 2 performances have just been stunning, so he deserves to be favourite, and I can't wait to see him.
You can't. No one can deny him favouritism, really.
No. The
way he won this Greenham. Killian Doherty has just quoted me. According to Luke, he looked lame and ill when finishing second to 7-4 favourite Kingman. That's Night of Thunder. Yes, I agree with that because I said it, and I'm awesome and sexy. Cheltenham Zoners, thanks me for reading out his tweet. And Regal Encore for the win.
No comment. I've got a couple of questions from our good friend Shrise. Hi, Sean. He asks, where is it? He asks about is War Command all dependent on good to firm ground, and where do we place Nuzu Canarius?
Nuzu in the lead. Slight chance of dropping back tired late on.
Yeah, I think he runs well, but just doesn't see it out as well as others.
And then he goes and wins a big sprint.
He's going to be such a good sprinter, I think.
I'd have him in the same vein as Ertijal. I think I'm still convinced Ertijal's a sprinter.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with that at all.
I think Nuzu could come back and win the July Cup, something like that.
And War Command needs fast ground, definitely.
Yeah, I don't think you can disagree. He's again in the same vein as Outstrip. Outstrip needs fast ground to be seen to his best for sure.
And he did ask another question. Where is it?
Michael, Wabia wants you to say the word peak.
Yeah, I know. I was trying to slip it into conversation, but I don't think I can. But yeah, I think we wouldn't be. I don't think Luke or Wabia would be denying that if Tormor wins the 2,000 guineas, that everybody would have, will be peaking that day because that would be the peak of the day, because I think Luke should take us all out with his winnings.
Yeah, I agree with that, actually. It's a great idea. Callum's not in with agreement.
I'll tell you what. I'll take you all out if Euro Charlene wins the 1,000.
Deal. Deal.
And likewise if Kiyoshi wins.
Not to Mackie.
Yeah, that's another one as well. That's a good one.
For you? Okay. I don't have any big anti-quiz bets.
Nor do I.
I told you all to back Euro Charlene 150 to 1.
Yeah, you did. But I don't.
No, you didn't.
You didn't tell the viewers. You didn't tell the
Yeah,
viewers
well, to
too.
be fair, I'll hold my hands up on this. I took the 150s on Betfair, then I told you to back it at 130.
And Sean's other question was: would you agree that this Punchestown Festival is naff?
No,
Yes.
No.
Yes and no.
no, I don't think so.
I mean,
No.
we've had some shock results, and we've had some. How do we?
Well, we've
I
seen
think-
next year's champion hurdle winner in the
Yes, we have, and I'll hold my hands up. After being on the slating 14 train, I've jumped off, and I'm now jumping on the back of the train that wants to back in for next year's champion hurdle. Oh, that was so good on Tuesday.
Did you get 16 to 1 though?
Shut up.
No.
I think Votor wins the Arkle as well. So.
Yeah, I hope so.
Well,
But,
yeah, you hope so. I know that.
but that's pretty
I'm
much all that
just
we've.
worried Votor
what's that?
doesn't do what Champagne Fever did. Just get pipped by Western Warhorse or next year similar horse.
I think Votor's speedier than Champagne Fever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think Western Warhorse is winning another Arkle either. Just got.
no, I agree.
Votor and Faheen, I have in the same line that they need to be going really fast to jump well.
That's exactly what I was just about to say, and I tweeted it earlier. I think Votor, he showed his best because he was going so much faster at Cheltenham.
Yeah.
He made one.
As with today, just dawdled, and he just was bored, I think.
He made just one essence of a mistake when he dived at 3 out, but still jumped it. Really.
Yeah.
Everything else was just absolutely perfect.
Plus, Ruby got off and said that the firm ground at Cheltenham had left its mark on both Hurricane Fly and Votor.
Hmm.
I mean, we read all these comments that Mullins rates Votor better than Faheen, but I don't think the other way around, personally. Votor is still a very good horse, and I feel sorry for Votor in the sense that everything he does will be compared to Faheen, which I don't think is fair. But at the same time, if the trainer is coming out with the comments of, oh, Votor's better than Faheen, you are going to get that, so...
If it's say a match race between the two over 2 miles, who would you be on?
Faheen.
I'd probably be on Wouter.
Really?
I know the 2.5 free.
I'd
Over
really
2.5
like that.
free, you know who I'd be on then. So.
I just think that Votor would lead and set it up for Faheen.
Yeah, I go with that.
I think Faheen is very much sort of more, for want of a better word, versatile. Because he can come from behind and win, and then go from the front and win. Votor, at the moment, we only know that he can go from the front.
True, and also Faheen is ridiculously versatile in the fact he's won over 2 miles and 3 miles this year.
Yeah, he's absolutely ridiculous.
Both of them are fantastic prospects.
He got bought for $4,000, which is ridiculous. Euros as well, so it's like 20 quid.
It's like, oh, I want to buy a racehorse. Yeah, it's 20 quid.
Exactly. I'm pretty sure that's the new currency rate.
The thing is, I said to you guys the other day as well, just before we go, about Faheen, he could win the Champion Hurdle and the Gold Cup. That's how good I think he is. Yeah, I think he could win. He probably has stamina and class to win the Gold Cup, and he's got the speed to win the Champion Hurdle. That's how good he is.
The worrying thing is he's only going to get better as well. So
Yeah, that's another thing. I mean, when he won on Tuesday, I sort of sat. It's a kick between 2 out and the last. Ruby presses the button, and he puts 3 lengths between it. Not bad rivals. They are good rivals. They are graded horses, and he put 3 lengths between them in like 2 strides, and you're there like, whoa, he's good. I mean, seriously good. So.
Right. We have one question in quickly from Matt123. The 3:30 at Goodwood, any thoughts on it? I'd go for Elusivity. I know Callum is going to laugh at me right now.
Oh, don't even go there.
I'd give Elusivity a chance, but it's
Kylie can last for me, definitely.
not really one I'd be.
She's my only bet at Goodwood tomorrow. Kylie can last.
Thank you, everyone, very much for watching. We appreciated your company and your banter as well. We'll be coming for you. I will be coming for you.
When Tomo wins the Guineas tomorrow,
Yeah.
it's okay. I'll be in the same boat as you. Don't worry.
Yeah, everyone enjoy the Guineas tomorrow. It's going to be awesome, and everyone back Euro Charlene for 1,000 Guineas kids.
Are you doing a video tomorrow night?
Maybe, I don't know. It depends on the plan.
I can't because I'm at Newmarket tomorrow.
Probably not then.
Well, you can do it.
I can't do a video.
Yeah,
we might do a video.
I'm okay.
Stay tuned on Twitter. We might do a video tomorrow night. But for now, thank you very much for watching. from all of us here on the other hoof, Michael looks like he's ready.
Yeah.
Good.
Oh yeah.
Goodbye.